My sister stood up at my husband's funeral, placed her hand on her stomach, and announced she was carrying a miracle. That's when I knew, not suspected, knew. The way you know your own heartbeat or the sound of your child crying in the night. I knew that baby was James's. The church went silent. 200 people are holding their breath and waiting for her to explain why she'd chosen this moment, this sacred goodbye, to share her news. I sat in the front pew, my hands folded so tight my wedding ring cut into my palm. The same ring James had slipped on my finger 23 years ago in this same church. The ring he'd twisted nervously the night before he died, when he tried to tell me something but couldn't find the words. I know this might seem like strange timing, Emma continued, her voice carrying that theatrical tremor she'd perfected since childhood. But James would have wanted me to celebrate life even in death. He always said babies were God's way of reminding us that stories continue. My mother gasped beside me, touched her chest, whispered, "Oh, Emma." Like this was beautiful instead of grotesque. People started murmuring their congratulations. My sister's husband, Marcus, stood frozen in the third row, his face cycling through confusion, pride, and something else I couldn't quite name. Not yet. Emma's eyes found mine just for a second, and in that second I saw everything. The guilt, the defiance, the plea for understanding. But most of all, I saw the truth she thought she'd buried with my husband. 3 months earlier, none of this would have made sense. 3 months earlier, I thought I had the life everyone envied. James was the chief of surgery at the hospital where we'd met 25 years ago. I was the head of pediatric nursing. We had 2 grown daughters, Sarah and Katie, both in college, both calling every Sunday without being reminded. We had the house with the wraparound porch, the golden retriever named Biscuit, and the standing Thursday date nights that we'd never missed in 2 decades. Emma would come for dinner every other Sunday. She'd arrive with Marcus, her husband of 3 years, and they'd sit at our table like the perfect couple they weren't. Marcus sold insurance. Emma taught kindergarten. They'd been trying for a baby since their wedding day, she told anyone who'd listen. Every month she'd call me crying. Negative again. Why did God give babies to teenagers who didn't want them but not to her? James would pat her shoulder, tell her it would happen when it was meant to. He had this way of comforting people, this gentle authority that made you believe everything would work out. He'd done it for me 1,000 times. Through my father's death, through Sarah's teenage rebellion, through Katie's emergency appendectomy. His hands were steady, his voice was sure. He was the anchor in every storm. But something changed in October. James started working late. Not unusual for a surgeon, but these weren't surgery nights. I checked your schedule. He wasn't there. When I asked, he'd say paperwork, administrative meetings. The new hospital merger was killing him with bureaucracy. I believed him because why wouldn't I? 23 years of trust doesn't dissolve easily. Emma started acting strange around the same time. She'd cancel our shopping trips at the last minute. She shows up to family dinners looking exhausted, with dark circles under her eyes that makeup couldn't quite hide. Marcus mentioned she'd been having migraines, spending a lot of time in dark rooms. She takes long drives to clear her head. She's taking the fertility struggles hard, he told me one night while Emma was in the bathroom. The doctor says stress might be making it worse. Classic catch-22. I made her chamomile tea, bought her expensive bath salts, offered to go with her to a fertility specialist in the city. She hugged me, cried, and said I was the best sister anyone could ask for. Her tears soaked through my sweater. I held her and promised everything would work out, just like James always said. The last normal Thursday was November 15th, date night. James suggested we try the new Italian place downtown. He seemed nervous, kept checking his phone, ordered wine but didn't drink it. Halfway through dinner, he reached across the table and took my hand. "Rose," he said, "I need to tell you something." My heart stopped. Cancer. Had to be cancer. You don't work in healthcare without recognizing that tone. Whatever it is, I said, we'll face it together. He squeezed my hand so tight it hurt, opened his mouth, closed it. The moment stretched between us like a tightrope. Then his pager went off. Emergency surgery. Multi-car accident. He kissed my forehead, said we'd talk later, and left. I finished my pasta alone, telling myself we had time. We always had time. We didn't have time. James collapsed in the OR 3 hours later. Brain aneurysm. The other surgeons did everything they could. Our colleagues, our friends, the people who danced at our wedding, they tried to save him. But some things can't be fixed. Some moments can't be undone. He was gone before I even arrived at the hospital. I remember running through those familiar hallways in my dinner dress, my heels clicking against the linoleum I'd walked for 20 years. Everything looked different, distorted, like seeing your home through someone else's eyes. Dr. Patterson caught me at the door to Trauma 1, held my shoulders, told me James was gone, used words like sudden, peaceful, and nothing anyone could have done. I didn't cry. Not then. I just stood there thinking about his hands squeezing mine at dinner, about the words he never got to say, about the wine he didn't drink. Someone brought me a chair. Someone else brought me water. The entire hospital seemed to move around me while I sat still, wondering what James had needed to tell me. Emma arrived an hour later. Marcus had driven her. She looked wild, hair uncombed, makeup smeared. She collapsed into my arms, sobbing so hard she couldn't breathe. "Not James," she kept saying. "Not James. Not James." Marcus stood behind her, rubbing her back, looking lost. She was especially close to him, he told Dr. Patterson. James was like the brother she never had. I held my sister while she shook, felt her tears soak into my dress, smelled her perfume, the same vanilla scent she'd worn since high school. Noticed things I shouldn't have noticed, like the fact that she was wearing her good earrings, the pearls Marcus bought her for their anniversary, like the fact that her coat was inside out, like the fact that she kept whispering, "I'm sorry," between sobs, but not to me, to the air, to herself, to James. The next 3 weeks blurred together. Funeral arrangements, paperwork, lawyers, ignorance. People brought casseroles I couldn't eat. Sarah and Katie are flying home, their faces pale with grief. The house felt too big and too small at the same time. James's coffee mug sat on the kitchen counter where he'd left it that last morning. His reading glasses perched on his book on the nightstand. His dirty scrubs were in the hamper, waiting for a laundry day that would never come. Emma helped with everything. She was there every day, organizing meal trains, answering the door, and fielding phone calls. She handled the flowers for the service, wrote James's obituary when I couldn't find the words, picked out the music. She even gave me an Xanax the night before the funeral, said I needed to sleep, needed to be strong for the girls. "You're the best sister," I told her that night, drowsy from the pill. "I don't know what I'd do without you." She turned away, started crying again. "You don't have to thank me," she said. "This is what family does." The morning of the funeral, I found James's phone in his coat pocket. I'd forgotten about it. The hospital had given me his belongings in a plastic bag, and I'd shoved them in the closet, unable to look. But I needed his cufflinks, the ones his father had given him, the ones he'd want to wear. The phone was dead. I almost left it that way, but something made me plug it in. The same instinct that makes you check your rearview mirror twice. The same voice that tells you to lock the door again just to be sure. It powered on. 53 unread messages, most from colleagues, condolences that would never be read, but there were 12 from a contact labeled E-Jim, sent over the course of 3 weeks before he died. I opened them. "We need to stop. James, please answer me. I can't do this to her anymore. The guilt is killing me. What if I'm pregnant? We have to tell them. I love you, but this is wrong. Marcus is getting suspicious. Rose deserves better than this. The test was positive. James, I'm scared. We need to talk. Tonight, please." That last one was sent 3 hours before he died. At the same time we were sitting at dinner. While he was holding my hand, he was trying to confess. I stood there in my black dress, reading my sister's messages to my dead husband and reading about their guilt, their love, their baby. The room spun. I sat on the bed, stood up, sat down again. Emma knocked on the door. "Rose, the car's here. Are you ready?" "Ready?" I wanted to laugh, or scream, or throw the phone through the window. Instead, I slipped it into my purse, walked to the door, and opened it. Emma stood there in a black dress that didn't quite hide the slight swell of her stomach. 3 months along, maybe 4. I hadn't noticed before and hadn't been looking. "You look beautiful," she said, fixing my necklace. Her fingers trembled against my throat. "So do you," I said. And then, because I couldn't help myself, glowing, almost. She went pale. "It's just, I haven't been sleeping. The stress." We rode to the church in silence. Sarah and Katie sat between us, their presence the only thing keeping me from grabbing Emma's shoulders and demanding the truth. Marcus sat in the front with the driver, oblivious, checking his phone. I watched Emma's reflection in the window. She kept touching her stomach. Small, protective gestures she probably didn't realize she was making. The church was packed. James had touched so many lives. Patients he'd saved, students he'd mentored, colleagues who respected him. They all came to say goodbye. I sat in the front pew, my daughters flanking me, my mother on my right. Emma sat one row back with Marcus. I could feel her presence like heat from a fire. The service was beautiful. Everything Emma had planned was perfect. The flowers, the white roses, James's favorite. The music, the hymns his mother had loved. Dr. Patterson's eulogy brought tears to everyone's eyes. He talked about James's steady hands, his brilliant mind, his dedication to family. James often said that surgery was his profession, but family was his calling, Dr. Patterson said. He loved Rose with a devotion that inspired us all. Their marriage was the kind we all hope for, built on trust, respect, and unwavering commitment. I felt Emma shift behind me, heard her sharp intake of breath. My hand found my purse, felt the weight of James's phone inside. That's when she stood up. I knew she was going to do it before she even moved. Call it intuition. Call it the connection between sisters. I knew she was going to confess, but not in the way I expected. "Excuse me," she said, her voice carrying through the church. "I'm sorry to interrupt, but I need to say something." Dr. Patterson stopped mid-sentence. Everyone turned. Emma moved to the aisle, one hand on her stomach, the other gripping the pew for support. He paused, swallowed. James was the most wonderful man I've ever known. He had this way of making you feel like everything would be okay. Even when it wasn't. Even when it couldn't be. He was crying now. Soft, pretty tears that made her look vulnerable and brave. "I know this might seem like strange timing," she continued, "but James would have wanted me to celebrate life even in death. He always said babies were God's way of reminding us that stories continue." She placed both hands on her stomach, lifted her chin. "I'm pregnant. After 3 years of trying, it finally happened. And I know James is looking down, happy that there's new life even as we mourn his passing." The church erupted in soft gasps and murmurs. My mother grabbed my hand and whispered, "Oh, Emma," as if this were a miracle. People started clapping and actually clapping. At my husband's funeral, for my sister's pregnancy announcement, Marcus jumped up, confused but trying to look pleased. He went to Emma and put his arm around her. She leaned into him but kept looking at me, waiting for my reaction and for absolution. I stood slowly. The church went quiet again. 200 people were watching to see if I'd embrace my sister or collapse from grief. Sarah grabbed my arm, whispered, "Mom?" But I pulled away, walked to Emma. The click of my heels on the stone floor echoed like gunshots. I hugged her. What else could I do? Make a scene at James's funeral? Destroy my sister's marriage in front of our community? Traumatize my daughters with the truth about their father? I hugged her and felt her body shake with what everyone assumed was emotion, but I knew was relief. "Congratulations," I said loud enough for everyone to hear, then quieter just for her. "We'll talk later." She nodded against my shoulder. "Rose, later." I returned to my pew. The service continued, but I heard nothing else. I was doing math in my head, counting backward from Emma's probable due date and thinking about all those Sunday dinners, all those late nights James worked, all those migraines Emma had, all those drives she took to clear her head. After the burial, everyone came to the house. Our house. The one James and I had bought when Sarah was born. The one where we'd raised our daughters. Where we'd celebrated 20 anniversaries. Where my sister had fucked my husband while I was at work. Emma tried to corner me in the kitchen. "Rose, can we?" "Not here," I said, arranging cheese on a platter. "Not today." "When?" I looked at her, really looked at her. She was beautiful, my little sister. Always had been. The pretty one, the charming one, the one who got away with everything because she had our father's eyes and our mother's smile. The one I'd protected from bullies in middle school. The one I'd lent money to when she was between jobs. The one I'd held when her first marriage fell apart. "When I'm ready," I said. She nodded, touched her stomach again. "It's Marcus's," she whispered. "I swear it's Marcus's." I almost laughed. The messages on James's phone said otherwise, but I just smiled. The same smile I'd worn when she'd borrowed my prom dress and returned it stained. The same smile I'd worn when she'd announced her engagement to Marcus 3 months after meeting him. The same smile I'd worn my entire life as the responsible older sister. That night, after everyone left, I sat in James's study with his phone. Sarah and Katie had gone to stay with my mother, unable to bear the empty house. I poured myself a glass of the whiskey James saved for special occasions. This seemed special enough. I went through everything, not just the messages, photos, emails, calendar entries marked conference that corresponded with Emma's migraines. A hotel charge from November 2nd when I'd been at a nursing symposium in Chicago. They'd been careful but not thorough enough. Or maybe James wanted to get caught. Perhaps that's what he'd been trying to tell me at dinner. There was one photo that stopped me cold. Emma is in our bed, wearing the negligee James had bought me for our 20th anniversary. The one I'd been saving for a special occasion. She was smiling at the camera, her hand on her still flat stomach. The timestamp was 3 weeks ago. At the same time I was working a double shift. At the same time, Marcus was at his insurance conference in Phoenix. I found Emma's spare key on James's keychain, the one she'd given us for emergencies, labeled with a little heart sticker because that was Emma, always adding unnecessary flourishes to ordinary things. The next morning I called James's lawyer, Henderson, who'd done our wills, our house closing, everything. "Rose, I'm so sorry for your loss," he started. "Thank you, Tom. I need to update some paperwork." James and I had been making changes before he died. To the will, the insurance policies, he was very specific about it. There was a pause. I don't have any record of James requesting changes. He was going to call you this week. I lied smoothly. We discussed it at length. He wanted to make sure his life insurance went directly to our daughters. Both policies and the investment portfolio. He was very concerned about protecting their futures. That's already the case with the primary policy, but the secondary should also go to Sarah and Katie. Equally, no other beneficiaries. Tom hesitated. Rose, I should mention that James did call me last month. He asked about adding an education trust provision for future grandchildren, but he never followed through. Future grandchildren? Of course. No, I said firmly. He changed his mind. He wanted everything to go to our daughters. Can you prepare the paperwork? I'll need documentation. Tom, my husband just died. Are you really going to make this difficult? He sighed. Come by tomorrow. We'll sort it out. After I hung up, I texted Emma. Can you come by tomorrow afternoon? We should talk. She responded immediately. Yes. 2 p.m. Marcus will be at work. Perfect. That evening, I went through the house methodically, found 3 more pieces of evidence. Earring backing in the couch cushions, not mine. A pregnancy test box in the garage trash, dated 2 months ago. A receipt for prenatal vitamins in James's jacket, paid with cash. I thought about confronting Marcus and telling him everything immediately, but Marcus was a good man. Boring, simple definitely, but good. He'd loved Emma since the day they met and would forgive her anything. And he wanted a baby so desperately he'd probably raise it as his own, knowing the truth. No, Marcus wouldn't leave her. Not for this, but his family would never forgive her. The Townsends were old money, old values. Marcus's mother already thought Emma was too modern, too free-spirited. An affair would be survivable. An affair that produced a baby with another man, a dead man, would be unforgivable. They'd cut Marcus off. No inheritance, no family business, no future. Emma arrived the next day at exactly 2. She looked tired. The pregnancy glow people talked about was more like pregnancy guilt on her face. How are you feeling? I asked, pouring tea. Sick every morning, but happy. It's what I've always wanted. A baby. Yes. I nodded. Sipped my tea. Let the silence stretch. Rose, about what I said at the funeral. You mean the announcement? Yes. I'm sorry. It was inappropriate. I was just so emotional and... When did you find out? I interrupted. What? About the pregnancy. When did you find out? She shifted in her chair. 2 weeks ago. You're sure? Yes. I pulled out James's phone, set it on the table between us. Her face went white. The test was positive. I read from her message. Sent November 13th. That's 5 weeks ago, Emma. She didn't move, didn't breathe, just stared at the phone like it might explode. Rose, was it in our bed every time? Or did you sometimes have the decency to use hotels? Please. The photo you took, in my negligee. Did James buy that for you too? Or did you just take it from my drawer? He started crying. Ugly crying. The kind that makes your face blotchy and your nose run. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. We didn't mean for it to happen. How long? I asked, my voice steady as a flat line. 6 months. 6 months. Summer barbecues. 4th of July fireworks. Our anniversary dinner, where Emma had given a toast about true love lasting forever. It started when Marcus was traveling so much. I was lonely. James was helping me with fertility research, spending time explaining options. One night we were going through medical journals in his office and she trailed off. It just happened. 6 months doesn't just happen, Emma. I know. God, I know. We tried to stop so many times. But you fell in love. She looked up, mascara streaming down her cheeks. Yes. At least she didn't lie about that. I could respect the honesty even while hating the truth. Does Marcus know? No. He thinks the baby is his. The timing, it could be. We were still trying. But it's not his. She shook her head. James had a birthmark on his shoulder. A small port wine stain shaped like a crescent moon. The ultrasound. They can see it. The same mark. The same place. I knew that birthmark. Had kissed it 1,000 times and had watched it darken in the summer sun. Sarah had the same mark. Our genetics left evidence Emma couldn't hide. What do you want from me? Emma asked. I'll do anything. Leave town. Never speak to you again. Whatever you need. I laughed. Actually laughed. What I need is my husband back. Can you give me that? Rose. What I need is to not have the image of my sister in my bed, in my lingerie, carrying my husband's child. Can you fix that? She sobbed harder. I'm sorry. I'm so fucking sorry. Sorry. I tasted the word. You're sorry. You fucked my husband for 6 months, got pregnant, announced it at his funeral, but you're sorry so everything's fine. That's not what I meant. Get out. Rose, please. Get out of my house. Emma, don't ever come back. She stood on shaking legs. What are you going to do? Nothing. I said. Absolutely nothing. She looked confused but hopeful, like I was going to let this go. Like we could all pretend she left quickly before I could change my mind. But I wasn't going to do anything. I was going to do everything. Just quietly, carefully. The way James taught me to suture, precise movements, no wasted effort, clean results. First, I met with Henderson, updated all the paperwork, made sure every penny of James's estate would go to our daughters. The life insurance, both policies, the investment accounts, the retirement funds, even the car. Emma's baby would get nothing. Not a dime of James's money would go to the child that shouldn't exist. Then I called Marcus's mother, Patricia. We'd never been close, but we had mutual respect. She appreciated that I'd made something of myself. I appreciated that she'd raised Marcus to be decent despite their wealth. Patricia, I need to speak with you. It's about Emma. Is everything all right? Marcus mentioned the pregnancy. We're thrilled, of course. Could we meet for coffee? Tomorrow. He paused, sensing something in my tone. Of course, dear. The club. Perfect. I didn't sleep that night. Kept thinking about Emma and James in this house. In this bed. How many times had I worked late, trusting them both? How many times had Emma comforted me about James's distance, knowing she was the reason? The next morning, I met Patricia at the country club. She was already seated, pearl necklace perfect, coffee black, judgment ready. Rose, you look exhausted. I haven't been sleeping well since James died. Of course, such a tragic loss. He was a good man. I thought so too. She caught the past tense. Her eyebrow raised slightly. I pulled out a manila envelope. Patricia, I care about Marcus. He's been good to my sister. That's why I think you should know the truth before this goes any further. I placed the photos on the table. Not the explicit one. I had some dignity left. But the others. Emma and James are at a hotel lobby, his hand on her lower back. Emma is leaving our house at 2 in the morning and James is in the doorway. The receipt for prenatal vitamins, charged to James's credit card. Patricia went very still. She carefully picked up each photo, studying it as if it were evidence in a trial. The baby, she asked. Based on the timeline and Emma's own admission, it's James's. She set down her coffee cup so precisely that it didn't make a sound. Does Marcus know? No. Emma plans to pass it off as his. I see. She gathered the photos and slipped them into her purse. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. Patricia, I don't want Marcus hurt. Marcus is a Townsend, she interrupted. We take care of our own. Don't worry about him. She stood and smoothed her skirt. Rose, I'm sorry for your loss. All of your losses. 2 days later, Marcus called me. His voice was broken. Did you know? I found out after the funeral. My mother showed me pictures, evidence, said I needed to know before. He paused. Before the baby comes. Marcus, I'm sorry. She admitted it. When I confronted her, admitted everything. He laughed bitterly. She's keeping the baby. Says it's all she has left of him. What are you going to do? My mother's lawyers are already working on it, Marcus said. Divorce papers. Quietly, quickly. She gets nothing. No alimony. No house. Nothing from the Townsend family. Ever. That seems harsh. Harsh. He laughed, but it sounded like choking. She fucked your husband. My wife fucked your husband. For 6 months. In your house. In my house. While we were working. While we were sleeping. And she's having his baby. His baby, Rose. I couldn't argue with his pain. It matched mine perfectly. I loved her, he whispered. God help me, I still love her. But I can't raise that child. I can't look at James's baby every day and pretend. I'm not that strong. No one's asking you to be. She is. He begged me. Said we could start fresh. Move away. Pretend it's mine. Can you believe that? Like geography changes DNA. After Marcus hung up, I sat in my kitchen feeling hollow. Victory was supposed to feel better than this. But all I felt was tired. Bone deep, soul-crushing tired. Sarah called that evening. Mom, is it true about Aunt Emma? The family grapevine had already started its work. What did you hear? Grandma called. Said Emma's getting divorced. That there was another man. Mom, was it Dad? I couldn't lie to my daughter. Yes. Silence. Then, that's why he was acting strange. The distance. The late nights. Yes. I hate her, Sarah said quietly. I hate them both. Don't hate your father, sweetheart. He was human. He made a terrible mistake, but nothing. He betrayed you. Betrayed us. With her. And she sat at our table. Ate our food. Pretended to be family. She is family. Not anymore, Sarah said firmly. Katie feels the same way. We don't have an aunt anymore. Emma started calling the next day. 23 times. I didn't answer. He texted, but pleaded, said she was losing everything. Marcus was gone. His family had threatened legal action if she tried to claim the baby was his. My mother had chosen my side for once in her life. Even our cousins were cutting her off. Please, Rose. I have nothing. No one. Just this baby. I finally texted back. You have what you chose. James's baby. That's what you wanted, isn't it? Not like this. Never like this. How then? Were you going to wait until after I died? Or were you hoping James would leave me for you? She didn't answer that one. 3 weeks later, she showed up at my door. 7 months pregnant now, belly prominent, face puffy from crying or pregnancy or both. It was raining. She stood on my porch, soaked, looking like a tragic heroine in a movie she'd written for herself. I'm keeping the baby, she said. I know. It's all I have left of him. How romantic. Your dead lover's child, the one you made while I was saving lives at the hospital. She flinched. I need help, Rose. Financial help. Marcus took everything. The Townsends made sure I got nothing. I can't even afford a deposit on an apartment. So you're my sister. And this baby is your niece or nephew, your daughter's cousin, James's child. The audacity of it, the complete breathtaking audacity. You're standing on my porch, pregnant with my dead husband's baby, asking me for money? I'm desperate. Good. Rose, please. The baby didn't do anything wrong. She was right about that. The baby was innocent, but that wasn't my problem to solve. Emma, you made choices. Adult choices. You chose to sleep with my husband. You chose to continue for 6 months. You chose to get pregnant. You chose to keep the baby. You chose to announce it at his funeral. Every single decision was yours. Now live with them. I could contest the will, she said suddenly. The baby has rights. James's child has legal rights to his estate. There was the threat she'd been holding back. Try it, I said. Please, take me to court. Let's make this public. Let everyone know exactly how that baby came to exist. Let your child grow up knowing they were conceived in betrayal, that their father was cheating on his wife, that their mother destroyed 2 families. See how that goes. She deflated. I didn't mean. Yes, you did. You meant it. Just like you meant to fuck my husband. Just like you meant to keep the baby. You mean all of it, Emma. You just don't like the consequences. I started to close the door. Wait, Emma said, her hand on the door. Can I at least tell you the baby's name? I paused. Some sick curiosity made me ask. What? James, if it's a boy. Rose, if it's a girl. The cruelty of it. The manipulation. Naming the baby after us like that would heal something. Like that would make me forgive. Like that would make me forget. Name it whatever you want, I said. It won't make the child legitimate. It won't make you family. And it won't bring James back. I closed the door, locked it, and listened to her sob on my porch for 10 minutes before she finally left. She had the baby 2 months later. A girl. She did name her Rose, according to my mother, who called to inform me as if I should care, like I should rush to the hospital and embrace my sister and her daughter. My husband's daughter. She's all alone, my mother said. No one came, not even Marcus. That's what happens when you destroy everything around you. Rose, she's your sister. She was my sister. Past tense. She became something else the moment she chose James. My mother sighed. You can't stay angry forever. Watch me. But I wasn't angry. Not anymore. Anger takes energy I didn't have. I was just done. Carved out like a pumpkin, all the insides scooped away. Emma tried one more time. She sent a photo of the baby to my phone. The little girl did look like James. Same nose, same chin, and there on her tiny shoulder that crescent moon birthmark. Proof that couldn't be denied. Under the photo she'd written, "She's beautiful. He has his eyes. I'm sorry for everything, but I can't be sorry she exists." I deleted the photo, blocked her number. That was 8 months ago. Now, a year after James's funeral, I'm different. Not healed exactly. You don't recover from this kind of betrayal. You learn to walk with a limp. Sarah graduated from college. Katie's engaged to a wonderful man who worships her. They both refuse to acknowledge that Emma exists. Their choice, not mine, though I didn't discourage it. I sold the house. Too many ghosts. Too many rooms where they might have been together. Bought a smaller place closer to the hospital. No guest room. No space for unexpected visits. No memories in the walls. I heard through my mother that Emma moved to Oregon. Lives with a cousin who took pity on her. Works at a daycare, ironically. Raises her daughter alone. Posts on social media about the struggles of single motherhood, never mention why she's single. Never mentioning whose child she's raising. Marcus remarried 6 months ago. A lovely woman from his church. They look happy in the pictures. His mother sent me a wedding invitation, but I didn't go. Too messy. Too many questions. But I sent a gift. A nice one. He deserved to move on. Sometimes I dream about James. Not the affair. Not the betrayal. But the early days. When we were young residents, stealing kisses in supply closets. When Sarah was born, he cried. When we bought our first house, we ate Chinese takeout on the floor because we had no furniture. Those were real moments. Those happened. The affair doesn't erase 23 years, even if it stains them. People ask if I forgive him. James, I mean, the dead are easier to ignore than the living. They can't defend themselves, can't make excuses, can't hurt you anymore. So yes, I forgive James. He was weak. He was human. He was going to tell me. That counts for something. But Emma, I can't forgive. Not because of the affair exactly. I could ignore that, but because of how she handled it. The announcement at the funeral, the demand for money, the threat of legal action. The photo of the baby was meant to manipulate me. She turned her betrayal into my responsibility, made her consequences my problem to solve. She still sends letters to my mother asking her to ask me for forgiveness, still hoping we can reconcile, be sisters again. Let little Rose know her aunt, her cousins, her father's family. But here's what Emma never understood. Family isn't just blood, trust. It's respect. It's choosing each other over and over again. She picked me the first time she kissed my husband. Every time after was just confirmation. So no, we're not sisters anymore. We're strangers who share some DNA and some painful history. So my daughters asked me once if I regretted how I handled it. Suppose I should have been more forgiving, more understanding, more gracious. I told them this: grace is for people who stumble. Forgiveness is for people who recognize their wrongs and genuinely repent. Understanding is for mistakes, not choices. Emma made choices, calculated ones, for 6 months. And when caught, she made more choices. Each one is more selfish than the last. I protected what was left of my family. I secured my daughters' futures. I refused to enable my sister's destruction. If that makes me cold, so be it. Sometimes cold is just another word for survivor. The last time I saw Emma was at the grocery store 3 weeks ago. She was back in town visiting our mother. Had the baby with her. Little Rose in the cart, babbling happily. She saw me first, froze. We locked eyes across the produce section. The baby did look like James, remarkably so, but also like Emma. That same manipulative beauty is already showing in her features. I wondered what lies Emma would tell her if she'd grown up thinking her father died before she was born. Suppose she'd known the truth. If she'd hate her mother for it or hate me for not forgiving. Emma raised her hand. A small wave. A question. An invitation. I turned and walked away. Left my half-full cart. Drove home. Sat in my quiet, ghost-free kitchen, and felt nothing but peace. Some people might say I'm bitter, that I should let go, move on, embrace forgiveness. But here's what I've learned. You don't owe anyone forgiveness. You don't owe anyone grace. You don't owe anyone the comfort of pretending their betrayal didn't happen. You owe yourself peace, however you find it, however you keep it. My peace comes from distance, from boundaries, from the word no said firmly and finally. Emma made her choices. I made mine. Now we both live with them. She is with her fatherless daughter, who will always be a reminder of betrayal. Me with my smaller life, my careful heart. My daughters who learned that some things are unforgivable. Was I too harsh? Maybe. Was I cruel? Perhaps. But I was also honest. Clear. Final. There's something to be said for that in a world full of false forgiveness and forced family reunions. I protected what mattered, let go of what didn't, and learned that sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's simply refusing to participate in someone else's drama. It's walking away. It's choosing yourself. Every single time. Would you have forgiven her? Would you have helped raise your husband's baby from an affair? Would you have pretended for the sake of family that this was acceptable? Tell me, because I'm curious. How much betrayal is too much? Where's your line? And what would you do if your sister crossed it, carrying your husband's child? I know what I did. I know what I'd do again. And I sleep peacefully every night knowing I chose right. Even if it wasn't kind, even if it wasn't generous, even if it wasn't what family is supposed to do. Because family isn't supposed to do what Emma did either. And that's where this story ends. Not with forgiveness, not with reunion, but with truth. Cold, clean, and final as a surgical cut. I've told you my story. All of it. The ugly parts. The decisions that some of you will judge. The boundaries that some of you will call cruel. But here's what I want you to understand. This isn't really about Emma, or James, or even me. It's about the moments in life when someone you love breaks something that can't be fixed. When trust shatters so completely that you can't even find all the pieces. When you have to choose between being kind and being whole. Some of you are sitting there thinking you would have forgiven her. That sisters are forever. That family means everything. And maybe you're right. Maybe you're stronger than me. Or weaker. I don't know which anymore. Others are nodding along, remembering your own betrayals. Your own sisters, brothers, or parents who took too much and gave too little. Who expected forgiveness as if it were owed to them. Who made their choices your consequences. The truth is, there's no correct answer here. There's only what you can live with. What lets you sleep at night. What allows you to look at yourself in the mirror without flinching. I chose myself. Finally, after years of choosing everyone else, I decided on my daughters. I decided my peace. I decided to stop pretending that blood means you have to accept anything, forgive everything, and enable destruction in the name of family. Maybe that makes me cold. Perhaps someday I'll regret it. Maybe when I'm old and dying, I'll wish I'd held that baby, my husband's daughter, and found a way to love her despite how she came to be. Or I'll be grateful that I stood firm. I taught my daughters that boundaries matter, that some actions have permanent consequences, that you don't have to light yourself on fire to keep someone else warm, even if that someone shares your DNA. I don't have the answers. I only have my story, my choices, my peace. But I want to know what you think, really. Not what you think you should say, but what you'd actually do. If you found those messages, you might have heard that announcement at the funeral. If she showed up at your door, pregnant and desperate, asking for help, would you have exposed her to Marcus's family? Would you have cut her off completely? Or would you have found a way to forgive, to move forward, to be the bigger person everyone always expects us to be? And here's the more complex question. Have you been the Emma in someone's story? Have you been the one who betrayed, who expected forgiveness, who made your choices someone else's problem? So, did you get that forgiveness? Did you deserve it? Or have you been me, the one betrayed, the one expected to forgive, the one everyone judges for having boundaries? So what did you choose? And can you live with it? Leave a comment below. Tell me your story, your choice, your line in the sand, because we need to talk about this, about what family really means, about what we owe each other, and when enough is finally enough. And if you're going through something like this right now, if you're standing at that crossroads between forgiveness and self-preservation, know this: whatever you choose is valid. Your pain is real. Your boundaries matter. And you don't owe anyone the comfort of pretending they didn't hurt you. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is say no. Sometimes the best revenge is simply living well without them. Thank you for listening to my story, for not judging too harshly, or maybe for judging. That's okay too. We all have our limits, our lines, our breaking points. Mine was my sister in my bed, in my lingerie, carrying my husband's child and announcing it at his funeral. Then they asked me to pay for it all. What's yours? If this story resonated with you, if it made you think, feel, or remember, please share it. Someone out there needs to hear that they're not alone, that their boundaries are valid, that choosing themselves isn't selfish. And subscribe if you want to hear more stories like this. Real stories, messy stories, stories without pretty bows and happy endings. Stories about the complicated truth of family, betrayal, and the price of peace. Because sometimes the only way forward is to stop looking back. Even if everyone else thinks you should. Even if it means walking away from your own sister. Even if it means being the villain in someone else's story. Sometimes that's the only way to be the hero in your own life.